Hey folks, Pat Mack here. Thanks for purchasing the Gitchusum bands. If you've been following the CST program, our combat strength training program, you'll know that that we want to work in anaerobic chunks in circuit to near metabolic threshold to meet an aerobic goal. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more during some of the demonstrations. Quick warning up front, these are made of rubber. They will snap back at some point and ping you. Additionally, rubber, they will get worn, so to prevent them from premature wearness, make sure that you keep them out of concrete, keep them off of sharp edges, stuff like that, and just protect them a little bit, and they'll last a lot longer. These are going to last longer than your typical wide bands, just because of the tubular shape and the type of rubber. So with the CST program, we also want to work in all planes of motion. We don't want to get stuck in a sagittalistic environment. We want to work sagittal, frontal, and transverse plane of motion. I like to say that life-saving ass kicking take place in the transverse plane. It's the most important plane of motion. It's also the most neglected. We also want to work in the complete muscle spectrum range, so own this. What I mean by that is we want to work both eccentric, concentric, and isometric. We're going to break the work week down to a power day, strength day, speed and quickness, and hypertrophy. And I plan on giving you tons of different examples, so you'll have a plethora of examples to use during your workout experience. Have fun and rock and roll. I personally like to start the work week out with power day. Power, rate of force production, no speed, no power. So good kick to the Jimmy right up front of the work week. Tailor these exercises to meet your needs. See, we all perform differently, and performance can be measured by doing what we can with what we have. We want to own the weight. We want to own the resistance. So tailor this to meet your specific needs. Make sure also that you have a good anchor point. So like pull-up bars, the anchor points in the bed of your truck are good. Make sure that it's not just some haphazard 2x4 hammered into another 2x4. I learned that one the hard way. So make sure you have a good anchor point. Let me give you several different examples of power exercises. So this first one is nothing more than a punch. Right, so we want to load this first. We want to load that and make sure we already have resistance. We don't want to start from here and push out. So load it first, and we talked earlier about triphasic movement. So fast on the concentric, hold on the isometric, slow it down on the eccentric. Also notice what I'm doing with my hips. Power is generated from the hips. Turn your body into a mini trebuchet. Just like throwing a ball, power is generated from the hips. Make sure that your feet are twisting as if you were, like I said, throwing a ball, swinging a club. Repeat the same thing on the other side, etc. Another good one. This is one you want to be careful about, and you want to make sure that you have a good arch curve in your shoe, so that way you don't lose track of this band, because this one can be precarious, especially if you mess this up. But this is like a kickstart motion where I am without that good arch curve in your shoe. That sucker can return the other direction and slap your private. So be careful with that one. So here's another one. This is nothing more than a pull. Same thing, power generated from the hips. Another one, that's a good one. You don't need an anchor point because your body turns into the anchor point. Hook that under your foot. And all we're going to do here is a full lunge into a press. And we want to own that. So we want to go slow in eccentric. We don't want the resistance to be so much that it pulls us back down, and that we don't own that band resistance in the eccentric. So another one for you. These are called, I call them chops. I'm gonna demo this real quick for you. And let's demo one more. This is nothing more than a transverse plane of motion turn. I'm gonna make a fist, kind of join these in the center of my body, and just an explosive turn. This will crush. This will destroy your abs, destroy them. Which, by the way, is a good thing. I mean that in a good way. Destroy your abs. So there are several different examples of power movements. I'm going to keep supplying you on my IG, T-Max Inc., with plenty of more examples of power movements. But there's a few to get you started. Bam. All right, so if power is how fast, rate of force production, then strength is how much. So training should be comprehensive, systematic, and progressive. We want to show progression. So as your training progresses, you want to be able to go from one, like a light resistance, to a heavier resistance when performing these exercises. I'm going to give you a few different examples of some strength exercises you can do. And like I said, I'll keep supplementing these on any of my social media platforms. But typical strength exercises, and we want them to be in compound movements too. We don't want to do anything in isolation. There's three types of people who work in isolation. One is professional bodybuilder, that's your job. Two, you're recovering from surgery and atrophy. Three, you got no idea what you're doing. So we don't want to work in isolation. We want to work compound movements. So some old school type of strength motions, we could do high pulls, and we want this to be in equal portions, eccentric, concentric, isometric. So no power on this. This is strength. Now, if we want to increase the tension, all we have to do is move our feet out a little bit further, and the tension increases. So equal portions, eccentric, concentric, isometric. We could also do bent over rows. Bent over rows with this, and you could increase or decrease the tension as you need to. So there's a couple different examples of strength. Another one, this is strength and muscular endurance. So make sure that it's hooked into your foot well, and you just press out, and hold. You definitely want to make sure your face is clear for this in case you do lose purchase on that foot. Because, man, that'll hurt. Oh, boy, that'll hurt. So there's another example of a strength movement. We did fast pushes with power. You could do a slow push with the resistance bands. Make sure this isn't so heavy that you don't own it on the way down, because you have to own it in the complete muscle spectrum range. So in eccentric, concentric, isometric, own it all the way up, all the way down. And we want these to be about a second in each movement. A second in concentric, a second isometric, a second on eccentric. Another example of a good strength movement is we could do a lunge. Now, I like to be careful with lunges and kind of pay attention right here. What I'm doing is I want to make sure that I don't break the 90, because it's conducive to longevity with the knee. There's not as much stress on the patella tendon if this doesn't break a 90 right here. So your lower leg and your foot. And all I'm going to do is come up with it and come back down. This will throw your balance off a lot too. So it's great for muscle recruitment. So there's a simple lunge for you. Another one we could do is just a full-on tricep. So I want to point my elbows in the same direction on this. I want to make sure that they're pointed directly in front of me. So my biceps are almost acting like earmuffs. And all the way out, all the way in. If I want to increase the tension, I just take a couple steps out. If I want to decrease the tension, a couple steps back in. Get a little closer to the anchor point. But we want that to be full on equal portions, eccentric, concentric, isometric. We want to own it in all directions. Own that resistance. So This one here is basically a pec and deltoid. We want full range of motion on this. I want to own this, and I want to start the tension right about there. Notice I'm using the very thin band on this one. I want to put my hand out in front of me, and I want to join fists, just like this. Join the fists. Now I'm making this look easy right here. I swear to God. Because this is not. If you could feel my guts right now. Oh boy. Whew. One of the things we want to look for here is about 5 reps on each side. 5 reps on each side for 5 revolutions. And we want to work for that like 25 to 30 minute goal. We want to set that as a goal. So when you're thinking reps, think like 5 on each side and 5 revolutions. And if we can, we go heavier each time, or look for an opportunity down the road to go heavier. We could even increase the tension just by marking a spot on the earth where our feet are, and then bringing that out a little bit more to increase the tension. Man, that ain't easy. I'll tell you right now. All right, now, pull-ups. Pull-ups are life-saving. If there's one exercise you need to work on, it's a pull-up. The ability to save or to pull your own body weight up or somebody else's is life-saving. If you can't do a pull-up, use the resistance band and then figure out which one you need. You might have to start with the green. It's okay, but start somewhere. You need a starting point, but you need to do pull-ups. So just hook it to that anchor point on that pull-up bar, pull it down, get your feet in there. You can put both of them in too. And we want to avoid doing this on concrete. So if your pull-up bar is concrete, just put a rubber mat or even a piece of cardboard underneath there. But now you have that assist band that could help you in doing those pull-ups. It just takes some of the tension off. And you'll notice that in time, you will graduate from the green down to the purple, down to the black, down to the red, and then you'll be able to do them without any assistance whatsoever. Do your pull-ups. Another strength exercise that we can do is a pull down. If you've got an anchor point up high, you could just execute a seated position like I'm doing right now and get you a good pull down, straight down. And I like to work unilateral, one side at a time, just because it replicates more real world movements. And I think it's healthier for you in the long run, because we want to think self-preservation, longevity, stronger, longer. Motion is lotion. We want to make sure that we're working the body correctly. It's called fitness, not brokenness. Now, another thing is instead of crunches with a resistance band, you could do single arm. And this is horrible right here. This is a horrible, horrible motion. I'd advise against it because this sucks. But you could go one arm at a time and just try to touch your toe. Yeah, it's horrible. Oh my God. My rib meat. I can feel all my rib meat right now. Oh man, that sucks. Damn. So a couple more ideas on strength day. Your abs. Don't be afraid to work your abs out every day. Don't be afraid to work out transverse plane of motion every day. And the transverse plane lives life-saving and ass-kicking. So work that transverse plane. Boosh. All right, hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is simple, but it ain't easy. So when it comes to hypertrophy or muscular development, all your muscles understand is applied tension. You just got to keep the tension on. It's as simple as that. Keep the tension on to near failure. Now, that part of it sucks. If you do hypertrophy right, you're going to know it because you're not going to want to do it a second time. Any one of the strength exercises will work for hypertrophy. What you want to do with them, though, is you want to add the amount of time under tension. So let's say 2 seconds eccentric, 2 seconds isometric, 2 seconds concentric, and lower the resistance, because you're not going to be able to do it with the same resistance, because you want to do 20 reps, 20 repetitions, 20 reps to failure. So like I said, it's simple, but it ain't easy. A couple additions that we could add to the hypertrophy day that we didn't cover in the strength. We could do We could do curls, just old-fashioned curls. And you could do them with the band, or you could fashion a dowel or something under here, so that way you have a better grip. But just regular curls, and this is about the pace you want to go. 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000. Building the biceps or something cool, man. If you could reduce the attention and make it more interesting, if you have 2 anchor points, you could do something like this. And 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000. The same goes with triceps, with your triceps. You could just like old-fashioned cable machine. 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000. So there's a couple extra examples of hypertrophy. Now, you are limited by your ability to be creative when it comes to certain exercises. For example, now this is proprietary here, so don't tell anybody. It's a dowel and some eye bolts. And there's a lot I could do with this. I have a couple anchor points that are at the right distance where I could fashion something like this. And I have a pretty cool little power mechanism set up right here. And I could do a series of different motions in the transverse plane. Now I'm gonna make this look easy because this is all about stabilization. Because in the power, that part right there, holding this steady like a rock, requires a lot of training. So don't be frustrated initially if you can't hold it steady like a rock, just like that. Because your muscles aren't used to it. They're not used to that instability and that lack of balance, that lack of proprioception. Once you start being creative and start doing stuff like this, everything's gonna get stronger. It has no choice because the muscles are gonna start recruiting one another to add stability to your platform. So this one here, I can also do pushes and holds, pushes and holds. I could reduce the tension. I could increase the tension. I could make it uneven on either side. So you are limited only by your imagination. Don't give an opportunity up to exercise good expeditionary mindset. Rock and roll, baby. In my opinion, there's 4 reasons why we work out. Number 1, self-preservation, longevity. Number 2, saving your own life. Number 3, saving somebody else's life. And number 4, kicking somebody's ass. When it comes to working out, all we need to do is make incremental improvements. Ask yourself this: if you cloned yourself yesterday, can you kick your clone's ass tomorrow? Now, these aren't the solution to everybody's problems, but I could work out with these for the rest of my life. I could do just about anything with these. Just a quick recap on training. Training should be comprehensive, systematic, and progressive. We need to show progression. Number 2, work out in all planes of motion, right? So don't get stuck in a sagittalistic environment. Work sagittal, frontal, and transverse, and work all in the complete muscle spectrum range. Eccentric, concentric, isometric. And it's called fitness, not brokenness. Self-preservation, longevity, number 1. Stay healthy, get strong, and rock and roll, baby.